Hey, I'm Ryan.
I'm Ewan.
We're from the Sheepdogs.
And this is Live in Limbo Favorites. One time a guy made a marionette of me. So I like when they give me gifts. But I quickly figured out that, because it didn't really look like me, and it was actually a George Harrison marionette that he like altered a little bit to make look like me. At first I was like honored when I heard this guy had this marionette, but then I saw what it looked like and I was kind of like, he just wanted a free ticket to the show. But good effort.
Yeah, obviously it's pretty cool when somebody makes you something just because they like your band. So it obviously makes you feel a little special for sure. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, we're talking about gifts. A girl from Winnipeg. I like to wear the Canadian tuxedo, much like Ewan is right now, and she made me a denim top hat to add to the Canadian. So I got the full Canadian tuxedo.
I'm gonna go with Hall & Oats. They're really hot in my world right now.
I've been listening to a lot of this band called The Sword. Really into that new record of theirs. Like a hard rock band.
Very different than Hall & Oats.
Yes, you could not put Hall & Oats and The Sword record on back to back. It would be too weird.
I think my favorite song to play live would be Southern Dreaming, because it has a very punchy, bubbly riff that people really get into. And just like playing guitar lead lines harmonized like on that song is really fun, and it's something that people really have come to know as being kind of part of the Sheepdog sound. So I think it's a fan favorite, and it just always gets people grinning.
Sure, I think one of my favorites has been for a long time is when we play I Don't Know. It's always really fun. It's obviously the first song that a lot of people heard of ours and they got excited about when they found out about our band was on the radio, and seeing people singing along and being really excited when that song comes on, and we're talking about like connecting the audience. Like it's a really big moment when you see that. I mean, obviously it had a big impact on a lot of people who discovered our band through that song, and so it's really cool to see that even years later how people get really excited to hear that song.
I think my favorite way to find new music is just like, I don't know, probably it would be like using like one of those apps on your phone when you're out someplace and you just hear music like in a movie or just like at a bar or something, and you go, what is this? I don't know what this is, and you do the little, I won't name Shazam or Soundhound or whatever, and then you're like, oh cool, like that's totally a way that I hear about lots of cool tunes.
Yeah, I find a lot of times if I'm sitting at home or in a hotel room and stuff, I'll go on YouTube and look up a song that I like, and then like look at the suggested things on the side and kind of go down the rabbit hole of artists. And it's a lot of times you'll find like-minded artists. Obviously, we listen to a lot of older music, and so finding a lot of these artists that I never heard of. I mean, YouTube is a pretty good way to waste a lot of time if you're just sitting in a hotel room.
My favorite guy to follow on Instagram is our tour manager, Donnie, because he is a real, can I swear? He's a real shit disturber, and he likes to he actively tries to get people to unfollow him, and he does a great job of it.
I think probably one of my favorites is this girl from, I think she's from, I don't know exactly what she's called. Her name is Sam Bloodbank. She does a lot of really cool like desert shots, but like really affects them to the point where they almost look like mystical or something like that. I don't know. She's a really cool photographer. I recently saw her stuff, and I really enjoy her stuff.
I really like to drink tea now. It's really lame, but it's awesome. It's very soothing, and it was Bruce Lee's favorite drink, which is pretty badass. So I find a good cup of tea makes everything right. Probably just a placebo, but just like having a hot drink that's like mild and doesn't have like crazy caffeine in it like coffee. I don't know. It's a pretty lame answer, I realize.
I'm a fan of just put on some headphones and going for a walk, getting out there. I find sometimes if you're stuck sitting in a place, if you're forced to be there, like being in a hotel room or at your house, it's nice just to get out and clear your mind. I think obviously just change of scenery and having some music to listen to, just being out and about just seems to clear your head. And I think often getting stuck in your own thoughts is usually what can start a lot of those things. I think one of the most memorable shows that we ever played, we were talking about this the other day, is we played the Grey Cup. It was in Regina, and the Rough Riders from Saskatchewan, won the Grey Cup, playing in front of like 50,000 people from Saskatchewan right before our team went played, and then won the Grey Cup. And me and Ewan rushed the field with the players and got like championship hats. That's a pretty like unique and memorable performance for sure.
It was also 15 degrees below zero. So.
Yeah.
I have probably my guitar, it's a 71 Les Paul, or 72, I can't remember. Early 70s Les Paul. Yeah. It's just, it's a valuable vintage guitar. Not crazy valuable, but more than anything, I love the way it plays. And it's probably my favorite thing that I own.
Yeah, I have to say, it's similar to me. I have a 71 Fender Precision bass, and it's one of those things that always wanted an early 70s one, and I found it. And from the moment I played it until then, I really haven't played like, especially live, anything else. It's just the way it plays and the way it feels and how it sounds can't really like replace that. So it's cool.
Having a 40-plus-year-old instrument that has like years of like mojo and like just badass shit running through it that's absorbed over time. It's like you can't go in and buy that at a store. I got mine in Vancouver at a store.
I also found mine in Toronto in a store,
but a secondhand store.
Yeah, obviously a music store. I mean, it's like we said too, and they have like like at least with my bass, like the paint's wore off. There's like a huge missing on the piece in the back of the paint from like belt buckles over the years. You can't really replace
belt buckle rash.
Yeah, so you can't really replace that kind of stuff. It looks. I mean, that's the funny thing is it looks crappy, but it sounds amazing.
I'm a big sports fan. I like watching football, basketball, and baseball, and drinking tea.
I'm really big into motorcycles. I love. I have a couple bikes, and I love going on trips and driving around, and similarly going like for a walk or whatever. Like nothing makes you feel better than just going for a ride, and I love riding bikes.
I think getting a credit card was a pretty big one for me because I didn't have any money for a long time and I couldn't get a credit card. And so I think when I got my first credit card, it was like, oh yeah, I can buy stuff online now. But it, obviously it kind of speaks to just being able to have some money in the bank. I think really when we started to actually, become a sustainable band, that was kind of what really was the most impressive thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I was going to say is that, for a long time we were touring around, but also working different jobs, sometimes 2 jobs, just, to make money. So the moment that we could actually quit our jobs and do this full time, as much as there's so many other things that we've accomplished that are amazing to me, that was a big one because we had worked a very long time to get to that point where we could actually quit our jobs and make this our job, which is cool.